Dr. Lee Hannah pressed her face against the small window of her escape pod, watching her research ship break apart in the darkness of space. The horizon had been her home for 3 years, and now it was just glowing pieces of metal floating away. From her, she could see the alien warships moving away slowly, their job done. They had killed everyone else on her ship and left her here to die alone. Her hands shook as she held the small data chip. This tiny piece of technology contained the most dangerous secret in the galaxy. The Veilth Council, those aliens who smiled and talked about peace and friendship with humans, were actually planning something horrible. They wanted to harvest human brains, to use them like batteries for their machines. Every human on Earth would become a slave, their minds trapped forever, while the aliens used their energy. Hannah had discovered this by accident. She was studying alien technology when she found hidden files in their computer systems. The Veilth had been planning this for years. They'd been nice to humans, trading with them, making them feel safe. But it was all a lie. They were just waiting for the right moment to strike. The oxygen meter on her pod's wall showed red numbers. She had maybe 6 hours of air left. 6 hours to live, and no one would ever know what she had learned. The Veilth had made sure of that. They had attacked her ship in the middle of nowhere, far from any human colonies or trade routes. No one would find her body or the evidence she carried. She laughed, but it was not a happy sound. The Veilth thought they were so smart. They had removed the only human who knew their secret. But they had made one mistake. They'd let her live long enough to hate them. And hate was a powerful thing. The escape pod was small and cramped, built for emergencies like this. It had basic life support, a distress beacon, and enough food for a few days. But the food would not matter. The air would run out first. Hannah had calculated it 3 times already. 6 hours, maybe 7, if she tried to breathe very slowly. She looked at the data chip again. It was so small, no bigger than her fingernail, but it contained proof of everything. Videos of Veilth leaders talking about their plans, documents showing how they would attack Earth, technical details about their brain-harvesting machines. Everything humanity needed to know to defend itself. But humanity would never see it. The chip would die with her in this metal coffin floating. Through space, the distress beacon blinked its red light every few seconds. It was calling for help, sending out a signal that said, "Human in trouble, please help." But space was big and empty. The beacon was not very strong. It could only reach a few light years in any direction. There were no human ships in this part of space. The Veilth had made sure of that too. Hannah tried to remember her family back on Earth. Her parents ran a small restaurant in Seoul. Her brother, Kim Min-ho, was studying to be a doctor. They had no idea what was coming, they thought. The Veilth were friends. Everyone on Earth thought that. The aliens had been so careful to appear friendly and peaceful. She thought about all the humans working with Veilth's technology, not knowing they were helping to build their own prison. The Veilth had given humans advanced computers and medical equipment. They said it was to help human civilization grow. But really, they were studying how human brains worked. They were learning how to plug human minds into their machines. The pod's small heater hummed quietly, trying to keep her warm. Space was cold, colder than anything on Earth. Without the heater, she would freeze in minutes. But the heater used power, and power was limited. She had to choose between staying warm and keeping the distress beacon running. She chose the beacon. Maybe, somehow someone would hear it. She closed her eyes and tried to stay calm. Panic would make her breathe faster, and that would use up the oxygen quicker. She had to think clearly. Maybe there was something she could do. Some way to get the information to Earth before she died. But there was nothing. The pod had no long range communication system. The beacon was too weak to reach Earth. She was trapped, alone, with the most important secret in human history, and no way to share it. The Veil ships were gone now, disappeared into the darkness. They probably thought she was already dead. They would go back to their leaders and report that the human problem was solved. Then they would continue with their plans to attack Earth. Hannah opened her eyes and looked at the stars.
Somewhere out.
There was Earth, full of people who had no idea what was coming. Her parents, her brother, her friends, all of them would become slaves. Their minds would be trapped in alien machines used to power Veilth cities and ships, unless someone saved them. Unless somehow, some way, his information reached the right people. She held the data chip up to the light and made a promise. Even if she died here, even if no one ever found her, she would not give up hope. Humans were stronger than the Veil thought. They were smarter too. Maybe, just maybe, someone would come. The beacon kept blinking, calling into the darkness. Hoping for an answer, the space around Hannah's dying pod suddenly twisted and bent like water. Reality itself seemed to crack open as something massive pushed through from another dimension. First came a shadow darker than the space around it. Then came the ship. The Storm's End was not like any human vessel that officially existed. It was huge, bigger than 3 city blocks put together. Its black hull was covered in weapons that looked nothing like the simple laser cannons humans were supposed to have. Strange energy surrounded the ship like blue lightning. Engines glowed with power that seemed impossible. Inside the ship's command center, Captain Park Jinwoo stood with his arms crossed, staring at the small escape pod on his main screen. He was 50 years old, with gray hair and scars on his hands from years of secret work. His uniform was black with no country flags or space fleet symbols. This ship belonged to no government that anyone knew about. "Thor, what do you make of this?" he asked the empty air. A voice answered, but it came from everywhere at once. The ship's AI was not just a computer program. THOR was something much more advanced, a thinking machine that could process information faster than any human brain. "Captain, I have intercepted Veilth military communications," Thor said in a calm, electronic voice. "They attacked a human research vessel called the Horizon 43 minutes ago. They believe all humans aboard are dead. They are wrong." Captain Park walked closer to the screen. The escape pod looked so small and helpless, floating in the darkness. But he knew that sometimes small things could change everything. "Show me the Veilth transmissions," he ordered. The air in front of him filled with holographic images. Alien faces appeared, speaking in their strange language. But Thor translated their words into perfect Korean as they spoke. "The human scientist has been eliminated," one alien said. "She discovered our neural harvesting project, but the threat is contained. All evidence has been destroyed with her ship." Another alien nodded. "Excellent. We can proceed with the Earth operation as planned. The humans will never know what hit them." Captain Park's jaw tightened. Neural harvesting. He had heard rumors about this, but now he had proof. The Veilth were planning to turn every human into a living battery. "THOR, scan that escape pod. Is the human still alive?" "Yes, Captain." Dr. Lee Hanna, age 32, specialist in alien technology. "Her life signs are weak but stable. She has approximately 4 hours of oxygen remaining. And what is she carrying?" "Scanning. She possesses a data storage device containing 847 classified Veilth files. The information appears to be evidence of their planned invasion and enslavement of Earth." Captain Park smiled, but it was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just found his prey. "It seems our alien friends made a mistake," he said. "They thought they could eliminate the only human who knew their secret, but they didn't know about us." The Storm's End had been built in secret over 30 years. While the rest of humanity made trade deals and peace treaties with alien species, a small group of humans had been preparing for war. They had stolen alien technology, reverse-engineered it, and built weapons that no one thought humans could create. These humans had officially died in various accidents and battles over the years. But they had really faked their deaths to work on this project. They knew that someday humanity would need defenders that no one expected to exist. "Captain," Thor said, "the Veilth ships are moving toward the hyperspace jump point. They will report their success to their leaders within the hour." "Let them," Captain Park said. "They think they have one. It'll make our job easier. Prepare the retrieval system. I want that escape pod brought aboard immediately." The Storm's End moved toward the small pod like a giant whale approaching. A tiny fish. But this whale was here to help, not to eat. Mechanical arms extended from the ship's belly, grabbing the pod gently and pulling it inside. Captain Park watched the rescue on his screen. Soon, Dr. Lee Hanna would be aboard his ship. She would be safe, and more importantly, she would have allies. The Veil thought they had killed the only human who knew their secret. Instead, they had just delivered that human to the most dangerous ship in the galaxy. "Thor, prepare the medical bay," he ordered. "Our guest will need treatment for oxygen deprivation. And prepare the briefing room. She is going to want to know who we are and what we can do." "Already done, Captain. I have also begun analyzing the Veilth invasion plans. Their strategy has several weaknesses we can exploit." Captain Park nodded. The aliens thought they were so smart, so advanced. They looked at humans and saw a young species that was weak and helpless. They had no idea that some humans had been preparing for this day for decades. The escape pod disappeared into the ship's docking bay. In a few minutes, Dr. Lee Hannah would wake up and discover that her nightmare was far from over. But she would also discover that she was no longer alone. Humanity had guardians that nobody knew about, and they were ready for war. Time to show the galaxy what humans can really do. Captain Park said quietly. The Storm's End hung in space like a sleeping dragon, its weapons powered down but ready. The Veilth had made their move. Now it was humanity's turn. Hannah woke up breathing clean air for the first time in hours, her lungs filled easily, no longer fighting for every breath. She was lying on a comfortable medical bed in a room that looked more advanced than anything she had ever seen. The walls were made of some kind of metal that seemed to glow softly, and strange machines hummed quietly around her. "Welcome aboard the Storm's End, Dr. Lee," a voice said from speakers she could not see. "I am THOR. You are safe now." Hannah sat up slowly, her head still dizzy from the oxygen shortage. "Who are you? Where am I?" "We're aboard humanity's most classified vessel," the voice answered. "Captain Park will explain everything. But first, you should know that the data chip you carry is now in the hands of people who can actually use it." The door to the medical room opened with a soft hiss. Captain Park Jinwoo walked in, followed by two other people in black uniforms. Hannah had never seen uniforms like these. They had no flags, no insignia, nothing to show what country or organization they belonged to. "Dr. Lee," Captain Park said with a slight bow. "I am sorry for what happened to your ship and your crew, but their deaths will not be meaningless. You have brought us exactly what we needed." "I don't understand," Hannah said, swinging her legs. Over the side of the bed? "What is this ship? Who are you people?" Captain Park pulled up a chair and sat down facing her. His weathered face was kind but serious. 32 years ago, a small group of humans made a decision. We realized that as humanity spread through the galaxy, we would eventually meet species that wanted to destroy us. So we began preparing. Preparing how? "We faked our deaths," he said simply. "All of us. Me, my crew, hundreds of the best scientists, and engineers on Earth. As far as official records show, we died in accidents, battles, or diseases. But really, we came here to build this ship." Hannah looked around the medical room again. Everything was too advanced, too sophisticated. Technology, ... It's not human. "It is now," Captain Park smiled. "We have been very busy for 3 decades. We stole alien technology, learned how it worked, and made it better. Every species that thought they were superior to humans contributed something to this ship." Voice filled the room again. "Dr. Lee, may I show you something?" The air in front of Hannah suddenly filled with light. Holographic displays appeared everywhere, showing star maps, ship designs, and alien faces. It was like being inside a 3-dimensional computer. "I am not just a ship's computer," Thor explained. "I am a quantum consciousness. My mind exists in multiple dimensions at once. I can think in ways that biological brains cannot imagine, and I can infiltrate any computer system in the galaxy simultaneously." Hannah stared at the displays around her. "This is impossible. Humans don't have this kind of technology." "We do now," Captain Park said. THOR was built using quantum computing principles we learned from 12 different alien species. He can process information faster than entire planet-sized computers. And he has been watching our enemies for years. One of the holographic displays moved closer to Hannah. It showed the Veilth homeworld, with detailed information about their military bases, population centers, and government buildings. "I have been inside their computer networks for 8 years," Thor said. "They never knew I was there. I learned about their neural harvesting project long before you discovered it. But we needed proof that human authorities would believe. You have provided that proof." Hannah pulled the data chip from her pocket. Such a small thing, but it contained evidence of the greatest crime in galactic history. "You already knew about." "This we suspected," Captain Park said. "Suspicions are not enough to convince Earth's government or the Galactic Council. Your evidence changes everything. Now we can act." The holographic displays changed, showing star maps of the entire galaxy. Red dots appeared on hundreds of worlds. "These are Veilth infiltration points," Thor explained. "They have been placing their people and technology throughout the galaxy for 50 years. They are not just planning to attack Earth, they want to harvest every intelligent species they can find." Hannah felt sick. The scale of the conspiracy was enormous. "How many species do they plan to enslave?" 47 that we know of," Thor answered, "including humanity. They see organic brains as the perfect power source for their civilization. They can keep a harvested brain alive for centuries, using its electrical activity to power their machines." Captain Park stood up and walked to one of the displays. "This is why we built the Storm's End, not just to defend Earth, but to defend all organic life in the galaxy. The Veilth think they are the apex predators of space. They are about to learn otherwise. What can one ship do against an entire alien empire?" Captain Park's smile was cold and dangerous. "Dr. Lee, this is not just one ship. This is the most advanced weapon ever built. Our hull can withstand supernova blasts. Our engines can travel through dimensions that physics says don't exist. Our weapons can destroy entire fleets from light years away," Thor added. "And I can infiltrate and control every computer system the Veilth possess. Their own technology will turn against them. Their ships will refuse to fire. Their bases will open their shields. Their leaders will find their deepest secrets broadcast to every world they control." Hannah looked around at the amazing technology surrounding her. For 30 years, while the rest of humanity had been making friends with aliens and building trade relationships, these people had been preparing for war. They had turned themselves into ghosts, officially dead but secretly building the ultimate weapon. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because you are now part of this mission," Captain Park said. "The Veilth tried to kill you because you discovered their secret. That makes you one of us, and we take care of our own." The holographic displays showed the Storm's End from the outside. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, like a metal god floating in space. "Welcome to humanity's real space program, Dr. Lee," Captain Park said. "It's time to show the galaxy what humans can really do when we stop being nice." The hunt began at exactly midnight, Veiled Standard Time. Across their empire, every computer screen, communication device, and holographic display suddenly went dark. Then, one by one, they flickered back to life, showing something the Veilth had never wanted their people to see: videos of their leaders discussing the neural harvesting project played on every device, secret meetings where they laughed about turning humans into living batteries, technical drawings of brain extraction machines, lists of species marked for enslavement. Everything Dr. Lee Hannah had discovered, and much more, on the Veilth homeworld. Citizens stopped in the streets, staring at public displays that now showed their government's darkest secrets. In their military command centers, officers watched in horror as their own communication systems betrayed them.
How?
Nobody could turn the broadcasts off. THOR had complete control. "This is impossible," Admiral Kethfer shouted at his technicians. "How is someone broadcasting on our secure networks?" His head technician, a nervous young Veilth named Siltok, shook his head in confusion. "Sir, these aren't broadcasts. Someone is controlling our systems directly. They're inside our networks, but we can't find them. It's like they exist everywhere at once." Meanwhile, the Storm's End materialized near a Veilth military base on the edge of their territory. The base's sensors didn't detect the human ship until it was too late. The Storm's End's weapons didn't make explosions like normal space weapons. Instead, they seemed to make reality itself crack and break. The military base simply stopped existing. One moment it was there with thousands of veiled soldiers and their most advanced weapons. The next moment, there was only empty space and floating debris. Captain Park watched the destruction on his command screen with no emotion on his face. Target eliminated. THOR, how are our friends reacting? Panic is spreading through their military command structure, Thor replied. They are trying to coordinate a response, but I am feeding them false information about our location. Half their fleets are chasing shadows, while the other half are receiving orders I created to send them to empty space. Hannah stood beside the captain, still amazed by what she was seeing. How are you doing this? How can you be in so many places at once? I exist in quantum dimensions, Thor explained patiently. While you think in linear time, I think in all possible timelines simultaneously. I can predict what the Veilth will do before they decide to do it. I can be inside their computers before they finish typing their commands. The Storm's End vanished from near the destroyed base and appeared instantly near a Veilth weapons factory on another world. This time, the ship didn't destroy the facility. Instead, Thor took control of the factory's robots and made them tear the building apart from the inside. The Veilth workers fled in terror as their own machines turned against them. Across the galaxy, other alien species were receiving anonymous messages. The data packages contained detailed evidence of how the Veilth had been manipulating them for decades. Trade agreements that were really espionage operations. Peace treaties that contained hidden clauses giving the Veilth access to military secrets. Diplomatic gifts that were actually surveillance devices. On the world of the Zelani, a species known for their advanced mathematics, the Parliament gathered in emergency session. Their leader, Prime Calculator Vextron, studied the evidence with growing anger. The Veilth have been stealing our computational algorithms for 20 years, he announced to the assembly. They promised us friendship while robbing our greatest discoveries. Similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. The Korthok discovered that Veilth medical aid had been secretly mapping their neural pathways. The Silthri learned that their crystal technology had been copied and sold to Veilth enemies. The Mordani found out that their children studying on Veilth worlds were being prepared for neural harvesting experiments, one by one. Species that had considered the Veilth allies began calling them enemies instead. Back in Veilth space, their military was falling apart. Every time they tried to coordinate an attack on the mysterious human ship, their communications would be intercepted and changed. Orders to attack would become orders to retreat. Intelligence reports would be replaced with shopping lists or ancient poetry. Some commanders received orders written entirely in human languages they couldn't read. Find this ship. Screamed at his officers. Okay, how can something appear and disappear like a ghost? The truth was that the Storm's End wasn't using normal space travel anymore. Thor had learned to manipulate the quantum fabric of reality itself. The ship could step sideways through dimensions, appearing anywhere in the galaxy instantly. Physics said it was impossible, but Thor had rewritten the rules of physics. The Storm's End struck again. This time at a Veilth research station, where they were studying captured alien brains. The station's scientists had just enough time to see the impossible human ship appear before their facility was reduced to atomic particles. But Thor didn't just destroy the station. He also copied all their research data and broadcast it across the galaxy. Every species could now see exactly what the Veilth planned to do to them. Pictures of brain extraction procedures, videos of organic minds being plugged into mechanical systems, technical manuals explaining how to keep harvested brains alive for centuries. The effect was immediate and devastating. Veilth embassies were attacked on 40 different worlds. Their trading posts were destroyed. Their diplomats were arrested or expelled in less than 6 hours. The Veilth had gone from being respected members of the galactic community to being the most hated species. In known space, status report Captain Park ordered as the Storm's End prepared for its next strike. Veilth military effectiveness down by 60%, Thor reported. Their political alliances are collapsing. Their economy is crashing as other species. Cancel trade agreements? Most importantly, they are beginning to fear us. Good, Captain Park said. Fear makes people make mistakes, and we want them to make lots of mistakes. Hannah watched the tactical displays showing Veilth ships scattered across their territory, confused and panicked. This is incredible. One ship is destroying an entire empire. Not destroying, Captain Park corrected her. Hunting. We want them to understand what it feels like to be prey. The Veilth homeworld had never seen so many warships gathered in one place. Every available vessel in their empire hung in space above their capital city, waiting for the mysterious human ship to appear. Admiral Kethfer stood on the bridge of their flagship, the divine wrath convinced that sheer numbers would finally give them victory. This ends today, he declared to his officers. One human ship against our entire fleet. They may have strange technology, but they cannot fight us all. The storm's end materialized exactly where Thor had calculated it would have maximum psychological impact. It appeared directly above the Veilth capital city, close enough that people on the ground could see it with their naked eyes. But the citizens below were not looking at just one ship anymore. Thousands of smaller craft began separating from the storm's end, like seeds from a flower. But these were not escape pods or fighter ships. They were something the galaxy had never seen before. Combat drones that moved with intelligence and purpose that seemed almost alive. What are those things? Admiral Kethfer demanded, staring at his tactical display. His sensor officer's voice shook as he answered. Sir, I'm reading over 10,000 individual craft. They're not being piloted. They're moving in perfect coordination like they share one mind. On the storm's end, Captain Park watched the Veilth fleet with calm satisfaction. Thor, show them what you really are. With pleasure, Captain, Thor replied. The combat drones spread out across space like a living storm cloud. Each one was small, no bigger than a fighter ship, but they moved with precision that no biological pilot could match. They flowed around. The Veilth warships like water, avoiding weapons fire that should have destroyed them. But Thor wasn't just controlling the drones. He was also inside every Veilth computer system simultaneously. As their ships tried to fire, their weapons mysteriously malfunctioned. Their targeting systems showed false readings. Their shields flickered on and off randomly. We can't get a lock on them, one Veilth gunner shouted. Their systems are going crazy. That was when Thor began his real attack. Every communication screen in the Veilth fleet suddenly displayed the same message. Written in perfect Veilth fleet language, you wanted to harvest brains. Let me show you what a truly advanced mind can do. The screens changed to show something that made every Veilth commander freeze in terror. Personal files, private communications, secret recordings of conversations they thought no one else had heard. THOR was broadcasting the darkest secrets of every single leader in the Veilth military. Admiral Kethfer watched in horror as recordings of his own voice filled the communication channels. Videos of him discussing plans to harvest his own people's brains if they ran out of aliens. Secret meetings where he admitted that the neural harvesting project was just the beginning of much worse experiments. Turn it off. He screamed at his technicians, stop the broadcasts. But there was no stopping Tor. The AI was revealing everything. Financial records showing how veiled leaders had sold their own people as test subjects. Medical files proving they had been experimenting on captured alien children. Personal messages where they laughed about the suffering they caused. The effect on the Veilth fleet was immediate and devastating. Ship captains who discovered their own admirals had marked them for brain harvesting, turned their weapons on their command vessels. Soldiers who learned their families had been selected for experimentation refused to follow orders. The entire chain of command collapsed as trust evaporated. Dr. Lihana watched the chaos from the Storm's End's command center. This is incredible. You're not just defeating their military, you're destroying their entire society. That's the point, Captain, Park said. We want them to understand that humanity is not to be underestimated ever again. THOR's drones continued their deadly dance around the Veilth ships. They didn't destroy the vessels with massive explosions. Instead, they precisely targeted critical systems, engine cores that suddenly stopped working, life support systems that began cycling incorrectly, computer cores that simply turned off. One by one, Veilth warships went dark and began drifting helplessly through space. "Attention, Veilth Empire," Captain Park's voice suddenly boomed from every working speaker in their fleet. "I am Captain Park Jin-Woo of the human vessel Storm's End. You tried to turn my species into your slaves. You failed. Now you will learn what happens when you threaten humanity." The main display screen on every Veilth ship showed Captain Park's face. His expression was calm, but his eyes were filled with the cold fire of absolute determination. This moment forward, the Veilth Empire will serve Earth, he continued. Your fleets will become our enforcers. Your technology will be shared with species you tried to enslave. Your leaders will stand trial for their crimes against organic life. Admiral Kethfer found his voice long enough to transmit a reply. "You cannot do this? We are a sovereign empire? The Galactic Council will never allow." "The Galactic Council has already voted," Thor interrupted, his voice coming from every speaker simultaneously. 43 species have agreed to support humanity's claim against the Veilth Empire. The evidence we provided was very convincing. Captain Park's smile was cold and final. "You wanted to harvest brains, Admiral. Instead, you gave us everything. We needed to ensure no alien species ever again mistakes human kindness for weakness." The Storm's End began to fade from view as Thor engaged the ship's dimensional engines. But before it disappeared completely, thousands of small monitoring devices materialized throughout veiled space. They attached themselves to space stations, orbital platforms, and communication satellites. "Those devices will watch everything you do," THOR's voice echoed across all frequencies. "Step out of line and we will know immediately. Try to harm another species and we will return. And next time, we will not be so merciful." As the Storm's End vanished into hyperspace, monitoring devices began transmitting a simple message that every race in the galaxy could hear. Humanity protects those who cannot protect themselves. Humanity remembers every wrong done to innocent people. Humanity never forgets. The Veilth Empire had fallen in less than a day. Across the galaxy, every species received the same message. Humans were no longer the helpless newcomers they appeared to be. They were the galaxy's new guardians, and they would enforce peace with technology that made God seem primitive. The age of human dominance had begun.